From the center of the galaxy, this right here be Force Center, a show about Star Wars, pop culture, the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw. Here there be podcasters. You can put it on the map.
There you go. As you can see, Jennifer Landa not here today. It was in the plans for her to be here. Life came up. She had to step aside, but she's on our news show tomorrow, which will drop at the normal time, and we dive in deep to a lot of great news stories there. So we're here to answer some Star Wars questions and all the fun that happens here with a live audience. If you have some questions, some super chats, all those things, stick them in the comment section there. Send them our way. We do want to say a couple of things up top here. I'll handle some business first, as we often like to do. The show is brought to you by our own merch shop today. That's right, Fourth Wall. Check out our merch store. Pick up a t-shirt to help support the show and represent Force Center out in the galaxy. More items on the way, including pint glasses, coffee mugs, and hats. All that stuff will be added soon. We do have a still active TeePublic shop, but we are mostly switching to Fourth Wall. Links are down below if you're watching live on YouTube, but head over to forcecenter/shop.fourthwall.com. Again, check out the links in the description, or go to forcecenter-shop.fourthwall.com. That's the first part of it here. Joseph, what else is going on out there?
Yes, we also discuss a little bit on our news show, because we are in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles has been in the news. A little bit of our experience of what the reality is on the ground, so we won't repeat all those thoughts, but that is a part of our news discussion. But we did want to highlight an organization that we think we can help. Do you still have that info in front of you, Ken?
I absolutely do. One place that there's many places to support, as we always say. Hey, make your own decisions, vet. But this is a vetted option there by our friend of the show, Laser. cluejustice.org/bond. cluejustice.org/bond. It's a good place if you're looking to support an organization that, one of the big things that's going on here is the removal of due process. So it's trying to help post bonds for people who are detained. One of the many things that can be done with there. So I might drop a link down below here, but cluejustice.org/bond is where we're highlighting there.
Mm-hmm. And like I said, we talked about it more on the news show that will drop tomorrow. But yeah, big picture, we think everybody is deserving of due process. We think in the real world, you shouldn't just be grabbed like Cassian Andor on Niamos and given no due process. So we are advocating for that. We see this question from JC. Are y'all okay out in LA? I hope you and yours are safe and okay and stuff. Just like I said, we discuss it in more detail, but big picture, like, yes, there are protests. Yes, ICE is here trying to grab people, and there are some protests in isolated places where there's been escalation on the government side. Or there's been things that have been beefed up of like, hey, one little trash can is on fire, but it gets spread everywhere. So big picture is LA is not on fire. I went to a dance show in a public park and had some ice cream last night on a lovely summer night. There are definitely protests, and there are definitely the potential for danger, but very small pockets in any sort of depiction of the city is running wild, invaded, occupied, problems on every street corner is just simply a lie.
Yeah. No need for the National Guard to be sent via Title 10 from the federal office. No need for 500 Marines to be on call. It's pretty calm and collected. Yes, there's always going to be little things, and it looks like that, a few burning Waymos is not the end of the world. And we talk in detail more tomorrow about it there. But we appreciate the question. We just want to highlight. We want to highlight what is the truth beyond even just the comedy of LA is pretty big, anyways. But Saturday actually was driving through the downtown area. I was heading somewhere out of town and was near one of the big epicenters of protest, and I was delayed for a mere 20 seconds on the freeway, just to show you kind of what's actually going on. But the issues are important and close to our heart.
Yep. I almost didn't get to my dance show because there were too many people going to the Hollywood Bowl. So
sorry. Yes.
Yeah. We'll move on quickly here. Yes. But JC, who kindly asked about our safety, said, "I feel the world looked at Detroit similarly in the past." And yes, this has been, I think, part of the reason that we've been talking about it is I can't stop hitting the wrong buttons. Is that this has been a tactic is to just say that cities are invaded, burned. I'm from Minneapolis, and obviously there was a lot going on in Minneapolis in 2020. But then the years after, they talk about the city's burned. You're like, no, it's not. Go to Mall of America and shut up. The city did not burn. Anyway.
Yes.
Yes. Not a common statement in Minneapolis.
No. But there you go. So there you go. And any of their, we really discussed it off air. So just, but like super chats come in, we'll try to also make sure we're sending some of our own Force Center funds to cluejustice.org/bond. Again, I dropped a link up there. Check it out. We'll talk more about it on the new show tomorrow. But we do have a big question today, Joseph. We got a main question, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm so enjoying the dynamic that we got going, where we ask our kind Force Center family to give us nice, complicated questions with nuance and perspective, and then I got to try to turn them into a thumbnail, and then it's fun to see people going like, "What is this about?" Quadface said, "Wait, Mandalore had a lot of famous families. Like, I need more info on this question." Yes. You do, Quadface. We all do. So here is the more information. This came to us from Aaron Motes. Aaron said, long-time listener. I found the podcast in 2017. Third-time question submitter. One of my favorite parts of listening to people talk about Star Wars is hearing how much the different examples of found family mean to them. Whether it's our heroes in the original trilogy, Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme, and Ahsoka in the prequel era, the clones, the Ghost Crew, Rey, Finn, and Poe, the crew of the Colossus and Resistance, or the many different groups from the live action shows, books, and video games. I enjoy hearing fans talk about how important those characters are to them and how they reflect the found families that many of those fans have found in their lives. I love all those stories and discussions, but when my dad passed away at the end of 2024 at age 68, I'm 47, says Aaron, I started thinking about nuclear families in Star Wars. We have a few, like the Organas and the Lars, but most of those stories end in tragedy. There's just not a great track run of those kinds of stories in the galaxy far, far away, in my opinion. I know how privileged I was to have grown up in a home with loving parents and two great brothers. Sure, we had some arguments and rough times, but we always found a way to work past them. And I'd really like to see that dynamic shown on the screen. Would you like to see a Star Wars tale where that type of family dynamic and the relationship between the parents, children, and or grandparents is central to the story? Thanks, says Aaron. Thank you, Aaron. So I think the question is definitely there's a focus in Star Wars on found family and celebrating that, and we want to acknowledge that. But then also the idea of, should there be more stories about nuclear families that aren't a horror show, that don't end like the Urso family does, or even, the Skywalker Solo family with the tragedy of Ben Solo. Obviously, Ben comes around, but some bumps in that road. A lot of the I don't even use traditional nuclear family stories in Star Wars are about death and betrayal. So, Ken, how do you react big picture to this question?
As David Mackay says, so Neil's family then. We need the Neil family spin-off hour. And then another, I was thinking the Ewok movies in which Sindel's family was wiped out in the opening moments of the second one. Just loving families. I like this question because I think we talk often about the power of found family in Star Wars, which is to me a lot about community. There's more of us, Poe. That kind of refrain is important, even with what goes on in the real world. I shared a story last week. I think I bungled some of the details, but watching that Cold War doc that I love so much because it's so frightening, but hearing from someone from East Germany at the fall of the wall saying, we felt afraid, but we've also felt safe because we had each other. That's important to Star Wars. So that's why I think sometimes it does come from these fractures, because it's speaking to a lot of the folks who feel on the outside of those warm centers. But I do think it's valuable, and whether it's a traveling band of musicians, a space partridge family, or something, I think it would be interesting to mine that a little bit more. Of as we're saying, nuclear family, blood family, whatever you want to look at it, of who survives through thick and thin, who does face the challenges. Not saying there couldn't be a loss within the family structure, but that they are strong and that there is the bond, because that's tremendously important to people, and that is a strength for a lot of people. I'm fortunate enough to still have my parents, and we haven't always been super close, but it's always been loving. And right now, as I go through some tough times, both financially, employment-wise, and relationship-wise, they have been there for me, and that is a source of strength and also a source of renewal in our family. And that could come through pretty strongly in that Star Wars story. So. Get that space bus of musicians ready. Let's get out there. I think I love you, but let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Neil joke is hilarious. Mine did go to Skeleton Crew, and I think that's a little bit of a template where it's in some ways it's the classic found family of those 4 kids who kind of know each other, but come together to become a little bit of their own sort of found family, and their families aren't perfect. Their families at home, their families of origin, and it seems like there's some parents are missing and all that kind of thing. But the idea that you could tell a story with characters like Skeleton Crew, where of course there are conflicts, of course there are ups and downs. It's family, but it isn't about the death or horrible betrayal is the center of the conflict, rather than just sort of like the actual conflict that like goes on between some of the kids and their parents.
Yeah, it's important. It's important to and there's examples of where other places it's shown up. I think you highlighted one that I think is an interesting talk there. The Syndulla family, kinda, or as Thrawn would say, Syndulla. Of a falling out, but a bit of a renewal as well between her and her father. I think that's. I definitely would like to see more of it.
Yeah, I think that's a great example of like a family, who has conflict. I'm fascinated by this because I think it is the kind of story that would do well in a modern age, as long as it is, well written and there is conflict. But I think it is the kind of idea that grumpy Gen Xers, people our age, would have balked at because there was an energy that anything with the family was kind of cute and safe. So I think telling a story about a family of origin, not a found family, in a modern age where there is plenty of conflict and there is plenty of danger, would I think be better received than it would have been in the past, and maybe even better told than it would in the past. That it's I mean, maybe what I'm thinking about is, in the past, sometimes stories of nuclear families are kind of, certainly like in the 50s and the 60s, they were, if you had a story about a nuclear family, it was generally kind of a finger wagging that this is the way everyone should be. And so found family is a relief from that sort of insistence of this the way it should be. In a modern era, it would be really fun to have a found family story that is just about like, hey, families are hard, but isn't it great when they're there for one another ultimately, and isn't sort of finger wagging about having any sort of different family structure.
Yeah, the stories dealing with a family of origin or a blood family, as fascist agents try to rip them apart without warning or due process, would be pretty timely in the Star Wars world if we wanted to get into that as well. So, but also just on the joyous side of it too. It doesn't necessarily always have to come from some horrible darkness. It could be, again, we want conflict. We want stories. That's how you tell stories. There's conflicts, problems, and second acts. I get that.
Yeah.
But some joy there would be great.
Yeah. Also throw out the Bad Batch. It's an extremely non-traditional family, but technically brothers and a sister, right?
Talk about origin and blood. Yeah.
I mean, a little bit different, but pretty traditional. Big picture, is this something that you feel like Star Wars is sort of like, we've talked a lot about like Star Wars could use a few more mother stories. Is this something that you feel like Star Wars could kind of like, that it's in danger of sort of repeating the same beats of like, main character in Star Wars, say goodbye to your parents of origin. They're going to die because you're in a Star Wars. Yeah. So your parents are going to die.
Bambi, say goodbye to your mom. Yes. And it's so fun. We always do the live show after we record the news. So often we're like, hey, tomorrow on the news show, which is a great preview for what's coming. But we discuss some of the Star Wars potential casting news for Star Wars Starfighter, and there is sometimes, especially a franchise that's 50 years old, that's based on these pretty strong core tenets. There could be the danger of repeating. I think there's different ways to look at the same stories. So I think that's going forward. What I'd like to just see the little twist on it, and yeah, having having a mother survive is at times revolutionary, unfortunately. But and it's to a fact. Like when I look at Rogue One, like Lyra dying at the moment, it works for me personally in terms of the story. But imagine if you tell that story in a different way, and Lyra lives, or there's or she reunites with Jin at some point. I don't know. There's ways to do it, and I just would like to see that. I don't think I don't think it's a giant need, but I think it's something that I'm excited to maybe explore as we move forward, as we tell these new stories, as we have a new Jedi Order, as we go back in time, as we have a Kinberg film. But imagine total wild space. But imagine if we do have a new family at the center of the Kinberg film, and they're a pretty solid bunch, but they're going out doing stuff. It just be slightly different.
Yeah, no, I would love that. Cameron Stewart says, I know Kanan died, but Hera and Jason are chilling for now. That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. I mean, apparently, if you want some longevity, Hera is the glue that holds your family together.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. I think there's so many interesting ways to explore that story, and even if it is a story of a generational tale of maybe siblings part way from their parents or end up on the different side of things of their parents, but yeah, like not just kind of going from the death. Would be great. Yeah. So I'm looking at some other thoughts here. Well, Quadface had brought up Mandalore. I mean the Grease family is, I think, another one that went through some rough times.
I mean, we're still waiting for Corky.
Yeah, man. What if that's Favreau's next project? When we say The Mandalorian, we mean lots of Mandalorians, and now Din isn't even in it. It's just Bo-Katan and Corky. Corky
Mandalorian,
lives.
yeah, Mandalorian and Grogu 2, The Search for Corky. Yeah, I'm on board.
Yeah. Bill Rudd says a story about young Poe and his parents could be wonderful. Yeah, I think canonically Poe's mom passes away when he's relatively young in the Poe novel, when he's a teen, I think. And it's her ship that he kind of goes on a runabout.
Yeah, no, that's a great. The Alex Segura book is, I think, one of my underappreciated favorites in the Star Wars canon novels out there. But yeah, if you were to go before that, maybe after him with his father, there's a death of a mother there, but it's done it's a different kind of tragedy. It's a natural, if I recall the details of it, right? She doesn't die in a mission. She doesn't die. She gets ill or something like that. So, yeah, it's a good place to start. That's a great character and look at it like that.
Genie from Teeny, Frogman and Frog Lady from The Mandalorian, and all them eggs. Them eggs, Fantastic.
I like that a lot there. There's a lot of, I'm trying to see. We got Cameron noticed that. Sorry, clearing some of these out. Brian Jackson, Mr. McClunky. Funny question here. Hello, is the band in the Cantina a family or a bunch of buddies? That would be a great Star Wars short story. That's the one there. That's the Partridge family we want. The Bith family, Bith species, but you know what I mean. The Fig and Dan family.
Yeah, like honestly, I would love a family on the run, because you can't play any gigs anywhere without working for a crime lord that cross somebody. Like, I'd be a great fun Star Wars adventure, Bith or not.
Yeah. Dennis brings up a good one here. I'm still playing the game. I was late to the game and do enjoy it. Outlaws. I want to see more of Kay and her mom, without getting too much into plot details, but there's a situation where estranged family members do have to kind of reconcile in some ways. And I think that was interesting. It was one of my favorite parts of the story in the game that I'm still playing. I still poke at it every now and then and play some Sabak. So I have fun. It's Kay's a great character.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play it, but it seems like the people who have played it are enjoying it, enjoying the character of Kay, all that.
The only thing I would say to you, I don't know how your speeder skills are. The speeder mechanic of flying that little speeder around has got to be fixed in any forthcoming games. That has been the source of rage in many lives, and mine included. Other than that, it's beautiful.
Hard to steer?
It's hard to do everything. It's just it's not intuitive. I don't know what it feels. It's not that there's additional buttons or actions that are required. It's just you're crashing, you're going too fast, and then local citizens on their own speeders almost intentionally run into you, and you go flying, and you do lose health points. It's a thing. It's a thing. Not enough to stop playing the game or not play the game, but it's a thing.
Yeah. If the Battlefront 2 resurgence happens, I might hop on that because I'm all set up. But yeah.
Yes.
Sergeant Fubar says The Sound of Jizz featuring the Yvonne Bith family singers.
Love it.
Yeah, I mean, look, yeah, on the run from space Nazis. Let's do it. Let's do it.
I think I love you. Yeah, that you and I have always we got to get Gaga in Star Wars. So her, the head of a musical family, or Figrin Den.
Yeah,
she can play a Bith. Perfection.
You cast Lady Gaga and you put her in this giant rubber mask. In a completely alien voice, but she did the motion capture, so
yeah.
Antonio Mendiola says a small family thing around the time of the Rise of Skywalker is finding out that Wedge was Snap's stepdad. So sad that he shows up ready to fight on Exegol and he doesn't know about Snap yet. Yeah, that is definitely one of those hey, if you're into the books. But in the books, I think Nora Wexley is a great character, and the relationship with her and Snap is a great mom and son nuclear family relationship that then Wedge comes into.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I know it. You had 2 seconds to address it, but I would have. Let's fly, Lando. Your stepson's dead. What? Like, cut away.
Yep. Dennis Gill. Good news for you, Ken. They upgraded the speeder mechanics.
When? Okay, all right. I haven't played for about 2 weeks. So
when?
With the Pirates Outlaw DLC? Oh, I barely played that one. Okay. All right, Dennis. You won me over. I'll go pop on a speeder soon.
So I definitely want to give all due to Aaron's question and thought about wanting more families of origin that are not plagued by constant death. For you, is that like a representation thing? Like you've had your ups and downs with your family, but in general, you've got a solid family. They're there for one another when they need to be. Do you ever feel like that element of your life isn't on screen in Star Wars?
No, and certainly someone who's been well represented in Star Wars in other ways, as you have, and we acknowledge that. Like, yeah, I wouldn't feel lost, but just in terms of the question, to me, it's like this is. I just wish Jennifer was here, but sometimes seeing a character or characters, get pregnant and decide to get pregnant and have a kid. Sometimes that I feel it could be looked down upon, like if it's not for you, because it's not necessarily for me. So don't worry about it if it's for the characters. Like, and I'm not saying this is in Star Wars, but sometimes I feel that undercurrent, where it's like, but a lot of people want to have children, and it's a great source of joy, and they want to build families. just because I'm a stand-up comic who's like, how do people live that way? I'd like to see more of that in terms of family. I think that's what I love about Aaron's question. Is being able to explore that while still keeping the tenets of Star Wars strong. So I don't feel it's underrepresented. I just feel, again, I keep using the word explore. I would love to explore a family, a strong family ongoing that begins one way and ends with a happy family hug.
Yeah, I think I've always felt in terms of the family dynamic, seen in the found families, seen like little moments of like, well, Obi-Wan isn't Luke's dad, but my dad gave me a moment like that, or that kind of thing. The moment I felt most represented is Edie attacking Cyril, and that wasn't an experience I want to repeat. I didn't have as much fun with Edie because like I acknowledge that is well done and too effing close to home. But I do really take Aaron's point of, for people who've had, I've had ups and downs with my family, but same thing, generally very privileged and everybody loves each other and will be there for one another. But to want to be able to see that, see that experience, because a lot of people do have strong, great families. I think I ended up having a lot of found families in real life. So I really like, as always, if people don't like Rise of Skywalker, there's your answer. You don't like it. But in terms of discussion of, is it good? What is it about? In the whole sequel trilogy, that Rey's
Mm.
journey so is I didn't get to have some of the things that other people have in terms of a family and in terms of connection, and I want them, and they can be found in other people. That family isn't just blood. That I think part of the reason that I get defensive about the quality of that story is because that was my experience, and that was incredibly important to me to have moments of found family where I realized I wasn't alone because of people I found out in the world who aren't my blood family.
Yeah, nah, I absolutely agree with that. And why I love Rise of Skywalker so much is one of the many things, all the things that it does here. Cameron Stewart has a series of questions. I'm going to make sure I get all of them here, Cameron. Or not questions, a statement. He says, here's how our nuclear family could really help at this moment in history. We got this a little with Ben Solo, but we need a nuclear family where the main character has rough times, but eventually comes back to their family and seeks emotional support and redemption. It needs to be a young man with emotional troubles. It would be great to see the dynamic play out when masculinity is being weaponized and misrepresented. You got to go picture, Cameron. I like what you're pitching there.
That's great. Antonio Mendiola brings up this family of origin. What about more storytelling with Padme's family? The deleted scenes from Attack the Clones are interesting. What happened to them after Padme's death? The funeral is their only screen time. Yeah, I haven't revisited them in a while, but I love the scene where Padme brings Anakin to dinner. I think to me, that deleted scene really enhanced Padme and Padme's relationship with Anakin and Anakin's desire for family, all that stuff being really cool. And Dennis Gill is right here today with our answers from Speeder Mechanics, 2 stories, a Legacy of Vader comic, has some more with Padme's family. I think,
I think, and there were some predictions or thoughts of what could happen from Jake for Nowhere, but yeah.
Okay, great. Awesome. In terms of
is Kylo the king in Naboo? No, he would have had to get voted in, but yeah.
I am not caught up on Legacy of Vader. I read the first 3 issues and really enjoyed them. I got to get caught up. But yeah, I would love to see more of Padme's family at any point. I think it's in. I think there is some family stuff, not a ton in E.K. Johnston's books, but there is some family stuff, and certainly like kind of the pressure on the family to have Padme be in politics and to be queen and all those things. In terms of Cameron's pitch, I think the sequel trilogy is spinning lots of plates, and Kylo's story is fantastic. But I wouldn't mind a story that has some relationship to Kylo's that's got the elbow room to be. That's the main story of we lost our son to Force Snoke, and can we get him back?
Yeah, can we get him back? Yeah, indeed. And I think they explored enough. Yeah, I like. Obviously, we like where it goes, but yeah, just now we get a chance to start anew, and there's great value to what Cameron's saying. In these times, as we said, we like a good, timely Star Wars story. But then again, they all are.
People are really enjoying in the chat discussion.
King Kylo.
King Kylo. Like this one, picturing Kylo declaring himself king, a la Michael Scott, declaring bankruptcy.
QAnon. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
And the family show that we absolutely need from Poncho Mike, Leave It to Meeber. Oh, Antonio is on fire with his prequel era ideas. Also, the Lars. How did Klieg and Shmi meet and fall in love? Her life between then and when she was taken by the Tuskens. How Klieg lost his leg. Her yearning for Anakin and being thankful for Owen. Absolutely.
Yeah, you could have you could do a sweeping Tatooine romance, couldn't you, with Klieg and Shmi, a Star Wars love story that ends in tragedy.
Yeah, I don't know if we'd also ultimately get what we want out of that in terms of happy families. So given good attention to the idea of nuclear families in Star Wars, and we can keep talking about that. But Ken, is there is there a family story in Star Wars that speaks to you the most, be it nuclear family of origin, or more of the found family stories?
I do think it because I think they're so plentiful, but the found family stories work for me. a lot, especially when it all comes to roost in Rise of Skywalker and the concept of we're not alone. But along the way, there's just so many ways that I love it displayed. But as a Han fan and a Leia fan, even though that ends in tragedy from a certain point of view, I do love seeing. I've said before, I'm on record saying as much as I love the big three, and yeah, seeing them on screen at one point in modern era would have been good. We didn't get it, but like I love the choice to explore this one of the greatest couples of all time in pop culture, Han and Leia, running into problems, running into the realities of what happened between them and their son, and shrinking back to what they knew best. I think that's very real. I think sometimes that happens in couples where everything kind of goes silent and you go to what you know, for better or worse, and often for worse. And it ends with Han's death, the cheek touch that saved the galaxy for us, or you and I and others who love that part of the story. But I like seeing the reconciliation. I like seeing him. His final act was, doing what Leia asked and doing it for their son and doing it because he was the father and doing it because that's who could reach him in this moment. Not Luke, not anyone else. Maybe not even me as his mother at this point. But I thought it was pretty powerful. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of found family stories that touch me. I really liked the moment in Kenobi where Obi-Wan is relating to Leia being adopted as kind of feeling like that's the Jedi experience of I had a family of origin, but then I grew up with the Jedi, and the Jedi are my family. Such a nice way to look at the life experience that a Jedi of old would have, and I'm interested to see that would be a way to explore in New Jedi Order movies how Rey puts the Jedi together, especially a character that was defined by she is strong and independent and capable, but also wants connection, wants family, that she would want her Jedi to be disciplined, be able to, make non-selfish choices about what is best for the people they're trying to help, and not get caught up in, the selfish version of fear of loss, but also maybe wanting her Jedi to be like, yeah, we're a community. Our purpose is to serve others, but we're a community, and I'm a parental figure, because how could I not be to this group of Jedi? I like the idea of Jedi as family.
Yeah. And Antonio highlighting too what you're talking to, just some of the Leia Kenobi scenes and the Bail and Leia scenes is what Antonio's highlighting that we love here too. Very powerful family stuff as well. Jedi is family at their core, and how they did move off of that, and that's part of what's being analyzed in the prequels and being discussed, and often gets misinterpreted as the Jedi are bad or wrong and must go away. But just the idea of at the core they are a family looking to help others, especially those who might feel othered in the galaxy.
And Bill Rudd came on with a kind super chat. Would you want Rey to try and have a Jedi family? Yeah, either like I was saying, treating her Jedi school with the reality that kind of community is going to breed feelings of family, and finding a way to have the positives of that be better. And then the idea of, is she going to allow attachment and literally having a Jedi family?
Yeah. Indeed. Trying to think of any other comments on family here.
We got one here from Geek Errant that I wanted to share. I hope we get to see more family moments with found family moments with Hera, Ezra, and Jason in Ahsoka season 2. That end of season 1 moment scene where Ezra says, "Hi Hera, I'm home," brought a tear to my eye. Yeah, I think I think Rebels worked really well. I've been having fun thinking about it and talking about it in the context of Andor, because you look at this way in which the story is told in Rebels, and you can go like, wow, it's not as gritty or hard hitting, but then you go through the actual life history of everyone in Rebels, of Kanan, massacre survivor, his Jedi family destroyed, Hera's homeworld destroyed, Sabine struggling with her Mandalorian family, Ezra losing his parents, Zeb being a survivor of a Holocaust to his knowledge at the beginning of the show, and be like, yeah, those are a lot of people who need family, and there is a real Kanan and Hera are the parents, and the rest are the squabbling kids, and Zeb's the weird uncle, and Chopper's the even weirder uncle,
and more angry. Yeah,
more angry. So there is a real found family vibe to it, but almost with like, to get back to what Geek Aaron is saying, there's a real direct parent and child relationship between Hera and Ezra, which really makes Ezra Jason's stepbrother, and to see him want to be there for his stepbrother and be able to talk to Jason about his dad, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful indeed. Good stuff there. Other questions set aside, or other things, when we get to those topics, we'll get to those. Oh yeah, so Obi-Wan Jacoby says this. Speaking of Rey, we got some good family time with her parents, Dathan and Miramir, in that book. Yes, Adam Christopher's book, Shadows of the Sith. Yes, I loved exploring that. Yeah, we spent a lot of quality time with them.
Yep, and we can go down this rabbit hole if we want, or we can acknowledge the good rabbit hole that Quadtrace breaks up. I'm gonna ask though, how can you not take family personal and be rational when you're a Jedi who has power to stop or help a situation? I'm not that emotionally intelligent. I mean, I think that's one of the big questions of what Star Wars is wrestling with. I think the portrait is that the idea that you are saying my mission as a Jedi is the most important thing, that I need to be in service of others. And if it is a choice between I need to save my brother over here, or I need to save all these people that I am committed to saving, that can be a weakness, a vulnerability, a struggle. But to me, the portrait of it is that the Jedi pushed too far away from connection, emotion, attachment, and it diminished them in the prequel era, and that the challenge of being a Jedi is to be able to love and have connection like Luke did, while still making those hard choices. And I think that's the whole point of, like, yeah, you train for a really long time. It's really hard to be a Jedi. It's really hard to build that level of emotional intelligence, and that's the goal. And sometimes they're going to slip, and sometimes they're going to fall, but they are setting themselves on that path to have and build that level of almost impossible emotional intelligence.
Yeah, setting high standards indeed that I think I would fall short of a lot too myself. I'm with you.
Yep, I think that might be my path as well. But and Michael McCarcel was busy typing similar thoughts. He says that's just part of the challenge of being a Jedi, that emotional intelligence is needed. But for most Jedi, it's a little easier because they're raised by their birth families, which is the reason they were taken young, so that the Jedi would be their family. But then, of course, leads them to things like Anakin saying, "You're going to pay for all the Jedi you killed today," because they're my family, and I don't even really like most of them. But you're going to pay for all the ones you killed today.
Pay. You're gonna pay. There you go. Antonio says the Mandalorian Grug was the end of their story. No season 4. The movie ends with them on Sorgan to be a family, though Omira and her daughter. Nice full circle moment to Sanctuary. That'd be interesting. Din comes back, but then she's dating someone in the village. It's very messy. I didn't know. You said no. Now you're back. I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. Other great quotes. Master Soul's passion to be a master, have a Padawan, kind of killed a clan of witches. Yeah, I mean, I think that's Acolyte is dealing with all of that, and I wish that Acolyte had another season, because the story does not feel entirely resolved to me. And I think, my personal opinion is I enjoy the Acolyte very, very much. I think it is a little hard on the Jedi, in my opinion. But we'll do more Acolyte talk down the road. But that's my personal opinion. I'm not saying anybody else's opinion is wrong. Just sharing my own. Yeah.
Indeed, I agree with you there. Should we get some other questions from other things? Should we dive into those?
Yeah.
Or bring a close? We'll still talk about family. But yeah, great question, Aaron. We also want to send out love to you and your family if you lost your father late 2024. Still hanging over you there, so we appreciate you being here for that. Dennis had something related here to High Republic. Other than the great hyperspace disaster in High Republic era, I'm surprised Star Wars hasn't had a story where an asteroid or comet impact could wipe out a planet. So yeah, what kind of? I'm trying to think of other examples. The Phasma novels that takes place on a world certainly left as a wasteland because of some stuff that happened to it. There's ways to explore that, but yeah, are we gonna get Star Wars Armageddon? Are we gonna get that?
I would love some more Star Wars stories that deal with the Jedi's. One of the things Jedi would do, I think, which is respond to natural disasters. We end up learning that in the High Republic, it isn't a natural disaster; it was caused. But dealing with those kinds of issues of, well, it's natural that this planet's volcano, weird space volcano, is going out, and the ice lava is going to murder all these villages, but the Jedi are going to come and not try to stop the planet from doing what the planet naturally does, but help people get out of the way. I think that those kind of stories would be great. I think maybe sometimes the reason we don't see them is that wanting that who is the antagonist, you know? So I mean, I guess you could have a story where somebody doesn't want anyone to be taken out of the path of the ice lava.
Yeah.
The Jedi have to decide whether to.
Some sniveling politician, Noah Jabel's son, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dr. Professor says, seems like, quote unquote, mining disasters are more common in the Star Wars universe. And I think that's true because it sets up, and antagonists. But there's plenty of way to tell those stories. There's compelling stories in how one survives disaster. And I haven't seen Armageddon. I maybe have never seen it, or I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't remember which. But it isn't like, a bad guy, right? It's not like Tommy Lee Jones sets the asteroid on them, right? It's just, it's a thing that happens.
I think
humanity has to deal with it, right?
I think the only enemy is time. I think, and each other. Yes,
you made time an ally of the asteroid.
I did see in theater. I was a little bit more of a Deep Impact fan because I was a Teo Leone fan. Still like Teo Leone, but I sang along to Aerosmith at the end of that movie. It's a good movie. Good movie. Space Bruce Willis, Pancho Mike says, yeah, absolutely. But coming together. I mean, there's still. I mean, we're making jokes about Armageddon, but it's been a long time since I've seen it. But there's a lot of different kind of people on that ship that they need to go save the world, and how they're going to work together. There's some of that stuff, and I'd love to see that in Star Wars with the villain being natural disasters or God himself.
Yeah, and then the conflict between the characters about how they're going to handle it. I'll throw this up real quickly because I think it is an important point. JMB says, I think Jedi are also at least partially modeled after Buddhist monks who eschew attachment to earthly things and lead in austere life. Yeah, I mean, I think there are plenty of Lucas quotes, and other people bring that up of totally true that I think myself and many people discuss them from a perspective of Western culture, and they are influenced by Eastern culture as well. And I think that is an important part of the discussion, which should always be acknowledged as well.
Yeah. Great stuff there. Mumbo Jimbo gives us a generous super chat. Says, you're live. Y'all have no excuse not to go to Star Wars Celebration LA in 2027. So I'm hoping to say hello then because I didn't see it in Tokyo. Maybe a beer too. Currently, no excuse. The excuse from Japan was it was far and expensive and a lot of life was happening and still is. But we'll at least if we're not at the celebration event, we'll definitely be at a bar nearby. You'll be able to find me.
Oh yeah, I don't have many reasons to go down there, and I want to go to that restaurant Puesto. It's so good. I was thinking Anaheim. Now I need another excuse. But yes, Star Wars Celebration LA. Definitely want to be involved and definitely see people.
Yeah, absolutely. So we apologize, Mumbo. We apologize. Antonio comes back with this one here. Antonio's just slam dunking the questions today. We like it. Do you think we'll have a saga of films or shows that will focus on another big family like the Skywalkers, a family that becomes synonymous with Star Wars, like the Skywalkers? And I think I think we know facts or evidence or even rumors behind it. But you look at the Kinberg trilogy. As that develops and as that comes, that will be so far out in our future. 6-7+ years from now. That it will be for a new generation of fans, and it will be a chance to establish a lot of new things like this. I think that could work. I'm not saying that needs to be the place of a family origin tells a story and at the center of the galaxy. Maybe that might be too much of a repeat for some people's taste, at least now. But 7-10 years from now, it won't be. I think you'll see that. I think it's interesting. It doesn't have to be even. It could be a political dynasty. It could be a family of revolutionaries. It could be something else that doesn't have to be related to, the Force or the Chosen One stuff I like, by the way. I know other people might find themselves a little tired with that, but that's what I mean. Like you could, to me, there's no harm in making a new family the center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like
Mm.
with the if the Kinberg trilogy goes forward and it is a trilogy, I do think having a family at its center makes a lot of sense. I feel like I continue to want the buffet of Star Wars, and I want exploration in different genres. But in this day and age, just saying we're doing a trilogy. We're not doing one and seeing how it goes. We are saying ahead of time we are doing a trilogy. There is a commitment, and it feels to me like if it is not a Skywalker saga continuation, which personally I don't want it to be, I would love it for it to be a new family, a new challenge, maybe, but for it, in some ways, for it to be a sort of spiritual successor to what the original trilogy was. To say it has been decades and decades, and let's take some of those lessons, some of those challenges, some of those real solid foundations of Star Wars, and tell those stories for a new era. That having family at the center of it makes a ton of sense to me.
Yeah, and again, I want to shout out Skeleton Crew, which I think very much has a lot of that stuff going on, and showed me as someone who loves living in a timeline I'm familiar with, who just kind of considers that Star. Who I think when I think Star Wars, I think Skywalkers, and I love when Skywalkers are around, and I want more Skywalkers around. I'm good with that, but Skeleton Crew was a great kind of little first step for me of going into something kind of so new and yet familiar, and you had families at the center, you had Next Generation, you had a different kind of scoundrel trying to protect these kids. I love what that show did, and could be a template for something going forward.
Yeah, I think the most important thing about that trilogy is that we meet a handful of characters that we really engage with, and we follow their journey, their ups and downs.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, getting back. I stepped off here. Yeah, Dick says it's just about going forward. I'm pretty open to any particular story. I'm interested in the state of the galaxy. What's the government like? Is there a republic? What's the Jedi Order like now? Yeah, big questions that I do think you as a creator would have to answer if you're putting together a Star Wars story going forward in the timeline, especially potentially that far, and now we're going to have some stories between Rise of Skywalker and whenever anything in that trilogy comes out. But that's why I think it's the Shermina Bed-Chinoy film could be so important to setting the table for what's coming, of just answering some of that world building now and then seeing where that grows.
Yeah, and I don't know anything about the Kinberg trilogy, but yeah, I really want that Rey movie that just focuses on the new Jedi Order, focuses on Rey as a leader and a teacher in the prime of her Jedi life, and we meet some new characters, and just in a film, let the existence of the Jedi, and in my opinion, kind of justice for the Jedi, reminding us that in my opinion, Lucas intended them as the heroes. Then he challenged his heroes, and a lot of people just hear the challenges and go, well, they're bad, and that's the point of Star Wars. I have fans who believe that and to me, the point is they're heroes who make mistakes. But I would love to see that isolated film, New Jedi Order, be about it's hard to be a Jedi, but they are the heroes. And if you just set that up, then it'd be great for me if, like, the Kinberg trilogy is 10 years after that, and there are Jedi in the galaxy, and it doesn't need to be about Rey, and it's I would love an isolated Jedi story, and then let's do this bigger state of the galaxy down the road.
Yeah, and give me those tasty politics. Give me going forward. Yeah, absolutely. Then what you're talking about too just makes me think of some of the conversation around Force Awakens, and I was part of that too. I think we discussed it in Force Center, but yeah, because we took a little less of a dive into the politics of Star Wars, there was definitely, I'm going to say, an anti-prequel kind of bias, but we always talk about Star Wars Celebration 2015. The prequels didn't feel as represented even on the convention floor in official capacity. So there was this like, hey, BB-8's practical, don't worry about it. And I felt like you just didn't have the benefit of stories in between to establish all the politics and all the world building that you might have wanted, that I think we have a chance to do now as we build these films going forward. And as speaking of someone who absolutely loves that film and that era, but just, the whole Corsella of it all. We always go to Corsella. We see 2 seconds of her. We don't get that entire story of why she was sent there to talk to Chancellor Vilcher.
Yeah, and man, and that would have been great because that whole policy of appeasement pretty important.
Pretty important there.
Yeah.
Question here. We got about 10 minutes left in the show, so if you got a super chat or a question related to families, related to something else, please get it in now. We have this one here set aside from Salvador. How can Filoni bring a new Skywalker for future movies? A clone, Strandcast, a dyad baby? If he even wants to. Yeah, if he even wants to. All of the above will work for me. A clone Luke can finally show up. Here it is. This is how we do it.
Yeah. I think for myself, I am fine. In a way, it's kind of what we've been talking about, a found family and family of origin or nuclear family or blood family or all that. I think that I'm fine with Rey is a Skywalker. She was, emotionally adopted by Luke and Leia, trained by Luke and Leia. They are her family. And so the family continues on in name and in spirit. And I personally don't need a clone or a dyad baby or anything like that. If there's more Skywalker storytelling for me, I still want more storytelling with Luke in his prime in his Jedi school.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I want
Ben.
And Ben. Yeah, I know. We talked about Mark Hamill last week on the news, and he's done maybe playing the character going forward and stuff. But like, there's still a lot of room before that time with another actor or another way to do it there. I'll be on board with that. And Marjo points, I want to highlight this too, going back to the Acolyte conversation. To be fair, the Acolyte, it was advertised as from the Sith point of view, and I really do agree with that. And that's why, to me, I really would have wanted a second season to explore what was out there. I felt, and this is personal from just conversations off air, in my own real life, off the internet here, we're just like, I think you could say, it was, hey, from the Sith point of view, we're dealing with something here, and because the story is incomplete, I just feel a lot of people were like, took that as fact, and the show wasn't necessarily done exploring it, but a lot of the, you do have this, it's the stranger of it all. You're listening to him, and you're like, that dude's not saying, he's not spitting facts, he's spitting opinions. But the conversation became that was the truth about the Jedi, and that's where I felt a little frustrated with the story sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's my thing with I think that's a really great point, Marjo, is that is what we were told, and I think the show it does take the Sith point of view, it takes the witch's point of view. The show is was structured to have us sort of guess about what really happened, and then we aren't. I feel like the show asked us to sort of see what happens, make our own decisions about who did what wrong, and some of the fight escalates because of what one of the witches does, but that wasn't what a lot of the conversation focused on. The conversation focused on the Jedi are the ones who claim they're the heroes, so we were focusing only on their mistakes. And so for me, it's just like. I don't know. It asked us to come to opinions with only part of the information. We don't know what happened between Vernestra and the stranger. We don't know what happened between Plagueis and the stranger. We don't know exactly what would have happened to May and Osha if they had gone through the ascension. We don't know. We obviously see Mother Anastasia let her out of it eventually, but we don't know if she would have. All those kind of things. It just feels like it feels like almost a moral mystery without being given all the clues, is what I feel in my interactions with other people. I feel a lot of other people is like, no, it's a show about how the Jedi are bad, and they proved it real well. And again, if that's your opinion, I do not want to take it away from you. I'm sharing my opinion about my push-pull with the show.
Yeah, I felt it was a show that was intentionally trying to show different perspectives or mysteries around the corner, right? It was designed to have this, but if you watch episode 6, you're going to go back and see the different, and I thought after episode 2, everyone was like, well, it's done. The Jedi are bad. I always felt like, oh, wait, no.
Thanks, Osvetnik 1138 for the TLDR. Too long didn't read of my ramble. The Acolyte left a lot up to the audience to make their own opinions for better and worse. Yes, some of that was fascinating and nuanced, and some of it I feel like left left holes to be filled. I will say this with this one very strong opinion about the Acolyte. I think the Stranger did a thing that happens in the real life, in the real world, which is extremely dangerous. Stranger, charming, amazing performance, amazing character, love the character, but the Sith point of view was his only response to anything was, well, the Jedi do it too. Like, hey, you just killed a bunch of people. Well, the Jedi have killed people to do too. People loved his line of like, at least I handled my darkness. Like, yeah, by just running rampant with it and killing people. You didn't handle a damn thing. It to me is the slippery slope of logic of, hey, we're trying to discuss a bad act by a specific person, and they say, well, other people have done it too, and you go like, well, great point. If that is our philosophy, let's never try someone for murder because other people have done it too. That's the Stranger's argument, in my opinion, as you can tell by my the shapes my neck is making. I feel strongly about that particular element of the show. I think it's an accurate representation of the Sith. I think that's the Sith truth. And hey, great, Stranger, you might have some points about bad choices that Master Soul has made, but all you've done is push the focus into talking about this guy in his mistakes he's made while he tries to be a good person, instead of talking about you going, F it, I'm just going to kill folks.
There's when someone declares, I'm going to try to do good, and now everyone spends every day picking apart. Well, you're not doing as good as you thought it should have. Yeah. What you said, I don't want to spin it too much in the real world, but with what's going on right now here in LA, just having some conversations of, well, what should we do about this? What should our reaction be? Well, it's always been this way. Great. Awesome. What can we do right now? Thanks, Chimere. Thank you, Chimere.
Yep. It's a complicated show, and I love it for that. And again, like always, it's I want to be clear that I'm sharing my opinion and have respect for people who have a different take.
There you go. Yeah, and I just we want a second.
Sorry.
We want a second. Yeah.
I'll let Cameron Stewart have the last word. His entire argument is literally no you. And it's a sexy argument by a goddamn sexy character. Like, I'm not even talking physical attraction, which, yes, he's physically attractive. Magnetic, powerful, amazing character. And I wish we could have gotten more of his story.
Yeah, and that's the thing. But anyways, we'll break down the Acolyte again some other time. There you go, Quad Face. I'm not a bad apple. The tree is rotten. Yes, indeed. Exactly. No, great stuff, guys. As we get ready to sign on out here today, our buddy Ken Plume checking in. Choose a Star Wars character you want a cameo from. Like, as in pay for a cameo to get them to talk to you? That's a great question. I think it would be maybe Grogu or Peli. Peli would be a fun cameo. I'm assuming that's your question, Ken. Not a cameo in another story, but an actual cameo from
capital C cameo. My go-to would always be Obi-Wan, but but my answer is Han Solo, because he needs the money always, and it would annoy him very badly. It would annoy the living hell out of him. He'd be the one, like Leia would do it, and Mothra would do it. Luke would probably be all sincere about it. Grogu would be cute. Luke and Leia and Mothra would, do it for the rebellion and give you a nice message and probably research your life so they know what you're talking about. Padme would kill at it. Han would be like, I hate that. Get that damn camera out of my eye. But I owe Jabba money, so fine.
You know what I would want is if there sometimes happens in real world where something happens to people that maybe I'm not giant fans of their policies or what they did, or maybe they get thrown out of Congress and they have to go to Cameo to make money. It's a living. I would love, Palpatine on Exegol. This is the only way you can raise funds now for what's going on. So I'm not rooting for Palpatine, but I'd like one of those. What is this? What is this now? Okay. Did I do it? Like, give me $10. Like, just Krennic, if he had survived, did a cameo on like, you stand here on my achievements.
Oh yeah, yes. Buy my Palpatine coin.
Yeah. The Palpatine official sneaker. Please get it.
Padme in full garb. Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Queen Padme. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. And Zillion cameo. Yeah, great choices.
And one more from Antonio. Hutz would just stare at the camera for 34 seconds.
I don't care about your cameo. I only care about the money you're paying me. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there you go. There you go. Great job. Oh, we could go on for a very high saw. Your cameo. You're here. I'm here. Yes. Love it. Great question. Thank you, Ken.
Mine.
There you go. I think we did it. We're out of here for Star Wars questions today. Jennifer Landis sends her regards. Sorry she couldn't be here, but she will be here on the news show that comes out tomorrow. We dive into casting rumors around Jedi. I keep saying Jedi. Star Wars Starfighter. And then we got, who's at the top of Lucasfilm and who's going to be. We have some fun talk and speculation about that there tomorrow on the news show. So check all that out. As we said at the top of the show, if you're just joining us here, we're choosing to focus a little bit of attention on the organization Clue Justice at cluejustice.org, but specifically cluejustice.org/bond. If you want to support them as they build an immigrant bond fund to keep families together as we fight for due process. This great concept that's not currently in play in a lot of situations that you're seeing on the news. So that's kind of the end of the show here. Any final thoughts, Joseph, on Aaron's great question, found family, and we'll get on out of here.
No, thank you, Aaron, for your great questions about families of all kinds in Star Wars. And hey, everybody deserves a story where maybe all the parents don't automatically have the fate of Bambi's mom. So great question. If you guys want to ask questions, we take questions from our patrons on Patreon. There is a post with a screaming Bistan on it. We got a couple more questions lined up for the next couple of weeks, but feel free to ask your question. And thank you always for the great questions.
There you go. You can follow us at Force Center Pod on social media. As we said at the top of the show, check out our Fourth Wall merch shop. Links down below. We're going to be adding things very soon. And TeePublic is still active, but we're kind of transitioning more over to that side of things. You can support us directly if you'd like by going to patreon.com/Force Center. Follow me at Cadnapsock or my website, cadnapsock.com. So where can they find and follow you for your updated adventures on not only your blog, your newsletter, but also finishing your film, Dead Media.
Yeah, you can go to my website, josephscrimshaw.com. It's got a link to my blog, Finish Your Monsters, and a link where you can make a one-time tax-deductible donation to help me finish this horror film I've been working on called Dead Media. You can also follow me on Blue Sky. Thank you, everyone, for all the support.
Thank you indeed. We'll see you next time right here on Force Center. Bye.